Welcome to Leading with Light, a wellspring for the transformational leader that you were born to be, where you can fill up and align, gather and be inspired, and bring your vision to light. Guiding you towards your divine connection and limitless possibilities, here is your host, visionary leader extraordinaire, Sky Ahern. Poof.
Hello, transformational leaders. Welcome to this Love and Light Fest, your sweet spot for stepping up and getting your shine on. I'm your host, Sky Ahern, and you are listening to Leading with Light. Today's guest is Jen Gilchrist. Jen is an entrepreneur for 22 years and a spiritual mentor for 11 years. She has gone from a struggling single mom to a multiple six-figure business owner, making money, doing what she loves, and empowering others to do the same. She works with highly sensitive and spiritual entrepreneurs on a deep level, helping them to reclaim the confidence, trust, and tools needed to harness their intuition, align with their purpose, and step into their next level of leadership in their business and life. So they make a bigger impact in the world while experiencing new levels of freedom of time, energy, and money in their purpose-driven business. You can learn more about her at www.soulsuccessunleashed.com. Welcome back to the show, Jen.
Hello, Sky. Thank you for having me. I always love coming to play with you in your arena here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to see you. It's been a really long time.
It has. Woo! In some ways, it's like the last couple of years has gone like a time warp, and yet lifetimes ago at the same time. Isn't it strange how that time has been?
I can't even really believe it. It even feels like a time warp from last week. I mean, yes. What? So I'm so happy to hear you are doing really well, that you're shining, that you're off in the world at the races, just rocking people's lives. And I can't wait to hear more about that today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's so wonderful to be here. And I love watching you shine your light as well, my friend. I love your astrological updates and all the shows that you put out there. It's just amazing your commitment that you have to really bringing the light to the world at this time.
Thank you so much, Jen. I know that we're going to have a real good time today. And one of the greatest things that I like to do about this whole entire podcast is I like to pray it all in. And I know that you and I prayed privately before we started. And I like to invite the listeners of Leading with Light to pray with us now. So if you're watching or you're listening, just take a moment and center yourself in your heart and take a big deep breath in, breathing up the energy of the earth, which is a part of all that is. Just imagine feeling your whole entire body fill up with this light, this love, this highest vibration of all that is, up through the soles of your feet and up your legs, up the base of your spine and your torso, all the way up the back of your spine, all the way up into your shoulders, down into your arms, all the way up again, up through your neck and your head. And you're going to imagine coming up out of your space in a beautiful ball of light. Noticing what color it is, you can imagine floating above the highest trees, the highest mountains, the clouds, past the Earth's atmosphere, all the stars, the universe. Even higher, we can go past the universe, past the multiverse. And as my granddaughter informed me the other day, past the second multiverse. Wow, news to me. And even higher, up past those dark lights of the fourth plane of existence, past the different layers of white lights of the fifth plane of existence, up through the thick jelly-like substance of the laws of the universe and the sixth plane of existence, into that pink cotton candy-like energies, the law of compassion, feeling yourself surrounded with this pink cotton candy-like energy, bringing that energy of compassion to yourself as a human on this earth at this time. Maybe looking back at the earth and sending that pink cotton candy-like energy to the earth. We could all use a little compassion these days. And then turn it back around, moving forth through the sparkly iridescent window of light, little glacial ice blue around the edges of it. And you're going to step into it. And as soon as you step into it, it just goes poof. And all around you is a sparkly iridescent light, this energy of creation. If you were to spin around like a child twirling, you could just feel that energy flowing against your skin and in between your fingers, kind of like water, but actually is energized with infinite potential. This sparkly energy of creation is what you're made out of. And see yourself up in this energy, knowing that one atom of this energy is enough to create a whole entire universe. Gather that energy above your bubble and bring it down into your bubble and into your human body. And just let yourself become that light. And from here, we're going to pray. Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, Atanaha, all that is. Thank you for my life, creator. Thank you for the life of Jen. Thank you for all of the listeners of Leading with Light. Send us all unconditional love, creator, and guide us in the highest and best way to share that divine energy, the sparkly white light of our beingness in the highest and best ways on this earth right now, creator. For the benefit of this human race, may we lead with our light. May we be that highest vibration that is always our highest potential in each breath that we take, creator. Oh.
Beautiful.
Whoa, I kind of got into that for a second. How about y'all? I got a twinkle on. Do you feel sparkly now?
I feel amazing. Definitely.
That could turn a bad day all around. You just got to do it a couple times. Sit up there in that sparkly light. You can learn anything. You can get healthier. You can manifest anything. So fun. So Jen, I know you're an amazing transformational leader and a really cool person on top of that. Even the dolphins flippin' love ya.
They're my favorite.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you lead with your light and how you're living your soul's purpose on this light loved planet of ours?
Absolutely. I feel like, I like to say that at the core, I believe all of our soul's purpose is really to align, to embody, and to express that higher truth of who we are. And those that I'm here serving at this time and where I feel called is to help people through that awakening shift. Those sensitives and empaths and intuitives and the world, more and more people are just waking up in this transition. And oftentimes it feels like no man's land. And so I'm loving to support people to really equip them with the confidence and the tools to really know how to heal those deeper wounds that may have been ignited this past period of time, how to really align with their self, know thyself, and really express themselves. And many of those that I work with are called to lead with their light as well. So it's really about giving them that confidence and courage to go out and do their soul's work. So I'm excited. Seeing the ripple effect going all around is just so inspiring for me to watch my students as they graduate, go off and create their own businesses and light their own light. And together, I know it's just going to be such a fabulous world in a short time, I believe, actually.
Well, that energy of love and alignment can transform the darkest, the most densest, the heaviest energy on this planet faster than the speed of light. And light, just is.
Yep, light just is.
So I love that about you. You have such a radiance about you. You have such a light about you. And you're so generous. Like, I always see you on Facebook doing really cool things. And I always call you on Facebook at the time that you're doing it. and then I just see you when you're doing whatever you're doing for that day, which is changing people's lives and helping them understand themselves better. And I love that about you. You've been doing that for a really long time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, especially with this past year, it got me more motivated and inspired to show up and just be of service. And in that way, the work just started pouring through me. And what I love about the type of work that you and I both do is, as we are giving, we're also receiving. And so it's really been part of what's helped me stay balanced in this past year as well, as being able to show up and be of service in that way. And so I like to look at it as a win-win for all, really.
I love that you just said that, because showing up and sharing your gifts and sharing your light with others in that energy of service, I think it's probably both the same for us. Is that, I don't know, I just feel so much better when I'm doing that. It's like essential. Like, it's my birthday very soon this weekend, and I'm teaching a class, and everybody's like, "What are you doing on your birthday?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna teach a class." They're like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Hello, I'm going to work with some of the most amazing people talking about the most amazing stuff. I mean, why would I do anything but that?"
Absolutely. Right. It's like, what else could there be better? And that's what's beautiful about when we align with our purpose, joy and abundance, all those things are just a natural byproduct that happen for us, that inner fulfillment and that peace, but then also the outward joy and amazing people, all that stuff really flows from that space of alignment. So I love that you're doing that on your birthday, because what else would you want to do, right? But channel
Right? I mean, maybe swim with dolphins.
Oh, maybe. Yes. That's just what
maybe be in Hawaii and swim with dolphins, but at this time, it's okay. So yeah, and I feel like there's so much going on in the earth right now that, it's really important to keep our vibe high. And there's so much transformation. And when we light people up and do this transformative work with them, and they're lighting themselves up, I just feel like we have the opportunity. We're growing just as much as they are wherever we're at. And those dips, sometimes the dips in our energy, our higher vibe, get to be sometimes a little bit lower, because we're using that light to bring up to the surface our own potential to grow even more. And so I just watch, just surfing the waves. It's like, really, it is kind of like surfing, or at least bobbing in the ocean and trying to keep your head above the water. I'm not sure. Sometimes it feels like that, but, we have that opportunity to make those choices in our life to stay at that higher vibe. And I think that's why it's so important to serve. I taught more last year than I have ever taught before. And part of me was feeling a little bit like, oh, I'm working quite a bit, but it was the funnest part of my whole entire life last year. And the other parts were kind of like low, and opportunity to raise up my vibe. And I think that, service is a way to keep our vibe high.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're serving people and they're serving other people, how does that make you feel?
It's amazing. I feel aligned with my higher purpose. I mean, I believe, when we look at the collective, as we look at, this past year, I know we were talking about too, like, how do you stay in that love vibe, that playground of love versus the playground of fear, in a year like this. And for me, it's two things. And it's what we touched on with the service piece, right? Because I know that when I'm aligning with my best self, there's the micro and the macro. So all I can really do is manage and navigate what's going on for me personally in the world, and then share my light from there. And from there, other people get to share their light. And so I really just start to see this ripple effect happening. And it gives me that hope and that inspiration and that trust and that knowing that all is well. And really, I'm showing up and doing what I can do, which is my job is to be that lighthouse and to light up other lighthouses who then light up other lighthouses. And that to me is very, very exciting, right? And also to feel that it's happening on a personal level for people, having their life just changed and feel so empowered, where maybe months ago they felt like they were at their dark night of the soul, which I really see this whole collective happening as how I'm viewing this is it's a big dark night of the soul for the collective, but individually we all have our own stories, and really all we can do is navigate our own story within this. But as we do that, it affects the whole. And so when we bring it back to that simplicity, I think that it's very exciting how many people, each person that you and I touch in our work, it touches them, it touches their family, it touches their neighborhood, it touches their whole universe. And if we just keep doing that, I believe is really the fastest track through. Kind of reminds me also of Pele. You brought up Hawaii or dolphins, which is where I go. When I look at how to stay in this vibration, Pele reminds me of one of my first spiritual retreats. And she was showing me in this healing process that the lava and the destruction and the wiping out of things, that's the first step of the creation process, and to not resist it or be afraid of it. And so what's been happening is it's that first step of the creation process. This muck has to come up. It has to be shown. It has to be broken down in order to move forward. And so I think keeping my focus forward on this idea that there's nothing to fear. This is actually exciting that so much of this is coming up, because it's speeding up our timeline to get to the good stuff, which I know is on the other side, right? And so I think that's an important perspective to hold on to as we move through, right?
Yes, and as you're saying that, I've been thinking about this. Human group consciousness is obviously, doing some massive healing. And I was thinking about it is literally coming up in the earth, like you're saying, like Pele's bringing it up. The mama goddess is bringing it up. The earth is doing its thing. And we're here right now. We have an opportunity to clear up that ancestral stuff, our own stuff, our soul stuff, our group conscious stuff. And, where do we bury our people but in the earth? Of course, that DNA, that genetic opportunity is coming up. It's like we give our beloveds to the earth. Mama Earth takes them. And now she's just going, okay, piled up. Now it's time for us to look at our DNA and heal that, so we can we have an epic opportunity to, and I don't even need to tell you because I know you know this, of shining our light as a human group consciousness better and shinier than ever before. But it requires us going into ourselves, looking at ourselves, how we are moving on a daily basis, but on our ancestral basis. I was just working with a client yesterday. It was hilarious. We're working on a past life. And I don't know what I said. I said something about, oh, you got this life stuck in your cosmic craw. Mm-hmm. You just couldn't get it out. And you put it there so you would remember some point in some time and place, or have the opportunity to remember it, to clear it, so you wouldn't perpetuate or do that same event again. And we have so much stuck in our cosmic craw. Like if we don't look at it, we won't be able to learn, progress, and shine even more. And we have that capacity with, I know, the tools that you use and I use. And I think it's our personal responsibility in a lot of ways to really look into that, so that we can be the best that we can be, that we can learn, that we can step forth, eyes wide open, hearts wide open, feeling that earth beneath our feet and the sky, touching our little crown of our heads and being that little bridge in between that heaven and earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's sometimes the part, is this is where we get to keep focusing forward, focusing on the light, focusing on what we can control, which is within us. And as we do that, I believe that's when we can really channel the chaos or channel the pain or the fear. When we don't resist it, we can channel it into passion. We can channel it into healing. We can transmute ourselves. And in doing that, we're actually empowering those around us as well to have an easier time to then pop up and heal themselves. And so in that way, I think, it's exciting. And I think it's also important to make sure that you have, those groups of communities that you can pop into that do think this way, right? Because not everybody in our world does. And so it could be really easy to get sucked down into the fear or the chaos of what's happening around you, which is where, your daily routine and connecting with yourself on a regular basis is so essential to keep focusing forward. You know what? Doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Doesn't matter what happened an hour ago. It's about me focusing myself right here and now and choosing to look forward, because we can always align with our highest and best path in any moment and at any time. And so just having that awareness and having that kind of constant reset is really, I think, what keeps us focusing in through the fog of of what we've been dealing with really as a collective, right?
And one of the things I love about, I don't know what you do with your people, but in the classes that I teach and the practice groups that I run, we often do an example of the work that we're using so we can teach and so we can learn, and then we can go work on somebody to practice. And I always pray and ask for the highest and best person to work on. And when they're brave and they show up and they're focused and determined and have that perseverance and that devotion, that dedication to work and look at themselves, and they show up for that healing, it lights up everyone in the group. Everyone has the same beliefs, different storyline, same beliefs. We work on it. They're all tripped out and they go work on themselves. They all come back and they're all so grateful for what that person brought up in them. It's kind of like the nucleus of this like little cell, and everyone, like I'm working with the person in the middle and we're like the nucleus, and then everybody on the outside is just like the little cell wall, but we're all united. And I just think that's the most wonderful thing about, you show up, you heal your stuff, you pay attention, and look, you have instantaneous proof of how you're healing the people around you. And it's so powerful to see that, and always so amazing.
Oh yeah, it's like the radiance. I see that too, because we do practice sessions and we talk about mirroring, how they're mirroring, your similar, maybe different storyline, but same core wounding or ancestral patterning. And it's like, people go into it kind of stressed out. Sometimes it takes courage to even show up to the practice calls because you're bubbling up all the things you're going to have to face or witness.
Definitely.
And then, but when you do, everybody just looks different. Like their energy's bright, they're smiling. I'm like, oh, you look so shiny.
Yes.
It's so much fun. But also even our family, like to take it even to another direction, even when people are unconscious, yes, everyone has to choose the healing for themselves. But, my family doesn't really understand or isn't really aligned with the type of healing and spiritual work that I do. However, I have watched them through my healing, I've watched their lives change in the same areas that are simultaneous to the areas that I'm working on. And so even though they may not totally understand, they're choosing the opportunity of the vibrational upgrade and healing for
because
themselves.
They have your DNA and they can feel it on that energetic level.
Yeah. And you're mirroring that. So when you're in their presence and you're aligning with your higher self, you're shining that alignment or misalignment to the people that are around you, whether there's words spoken or not. And so their higher self gets to choose that point. You know what? I either want to rise up to that, or you know what? I'm going to feel triggered by you, right? So sometimes people do resist us when we're shiny, because they're shadow. But the opportunity is that we're rising up and holding that light instead of shrinking to make everyone feel comfortable. We're being shown and guided to keep that holding that high. And what I'm witnessing is people having a much easier time rising, even when they're not necessarily as aware of where that energetic shift has come from, if that makes sense. I watch it with my daughter, my brother, my family, and it's like pretty amazing to see that ripple out even in that, on that level of unconsciousness, if you will.
Absolutely. My teacher, Diana Seibel, founder of Theta Healing, she always says, don't blame me if your long lost family members show up at your door.
Yeah.
Because they keep on, they feel it. I've worked on aunts, I've worked on cousins, I've worked on parents, I've worked on siblings. I just, and I have to say, one of the most biggest things that I've witnessed in my DNA was that my sister, who didn't talk to my father for a really long time, she just went back to our hometown and she bought a house and she's moving there with the pure intention to get connected with him and to live the rest of their lives together, which is like, I can't even tell you on how many levels. That's just a massive miracle.
It's beautiful, right? And it doesn't matter if they ever know where or how it came in. It's like, oh my gosh, but this is so exciting. And it's such a great reminder of the impact that's happening, even when it may not be fully acknowledged as to why the work that we're doing is impacting our neighborhoods, our families, those around us. And of course, very directly, those people who are ready to step into that work for themselves. Mm-hmm. But it really is having a collective ripple effect as well, which is super exciting.
And it doesn't matter if they know, but it is important for us to acknowledge it within ourselves.
Yes.
And so, like, I know that my sister had has her own thing. My dad has her own thing. But I also know that I've purposely and specifically worked on my DNA and my stuff and my family unit for almost 2 decades. And so, not like it took 2 decades for this to happen, but yeah, it did, because free agency is a bear, and it's divine timing. And so like recognizing your input as a conscious co-creator in that driver's seat of your life, that's pretty powerful.
Very powerful. I agree. Absolutely.
I think it's a really good time to take a moment's break and listen to a little bit of a message from our sponsor. So hang on with me for just a second and we'll do that.
Hello, beautiful souls. Rare and special event. Like a super rare unicorn sighting, Sky is teaching some of the foundational Theta Healing certification courses online. It is one blazing rainbow of a portal opening up for a life-changing experience, all from the comfort of your own home. If you're interested in joining me, learning from my years of service to this international community, it's time to make your dreams come true and share with you one of the most powerful tools used to bring us into alignment, direct connection to the highest vibration of all that is, to ramp up your manifestation skills, all while creating impeccable discernment and empowering you with a map to the universe and beyond that will serve you the rest of this life and throughout lifetimes to come. If you're ready to step in, this is your time. If you're ready to clear your limiting beliefs and trauma that you haven't been able to get rid of this whole lifetime, pain or suffering, and general overall cosmic crap that you may think has been serving you, and move forward to be the most epic, brilliant, sparkly representation of self on this earth in a human body, this is one of the most potent steps I've discovered over the last almost 2 decades throughout all my travels, hanging out with all these healers all over the world that can help you get that for yourself. Taking these foundational certification courses with me after I've helped write and create these very foundational courses of Theta Healing that have made it internationally renowned and traveled around the world with the founder Vienna Steibel and her husband Guy is a unique, powerful transmission, a download in itself that you don't want to miss. Plus, I'm effing magical. After all, cell does talk to cell, and light travels faster than the speed of light, and light just is. For more details and how to register for upcoming courses, go to www.skyislimitless.com. Go to the Work with Sky section, and then you'll see all about Theta Healing certification. That's www.skyislimitless.com. Or you can just go to the show notes and click on the link there.
We're back from our break with Jen Gilchrist. Oh, my favorite Jen on this planet. She is so cool. She takes people to cool Dolphin Journeys. Someday we will do one together. I feel that would be such a blast, don't you think?
Oh yeah, that's on my list of things that I look forward to doing at some point, is leading those destination retreats, because swimming with the wild dolphins has been such an exponentially healing. It's fun, but it's also very, very healing. And I know that they've awakened a lot of my intuitive gifts. And so just on so many levels, the Big Island, especially for me, is my heart. Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing.
Oh my gosh, I just can't wait. We're going to have a blast. I already feel that. So what are some of the things you do with your people? How do you serve them? What do you hope to, I guess it's maybe 2 questions, but what do you hope in your future looks like? Or what are you looking forward to in serving your people? And I guess we just talked about it with the dolphins. Hey.
Well, yes, definitely to a degree. I mean, my hope on a hopeful level is just to continue to expand the services I'm doing globally, really equipping other light workers to rise and shine, so together we can elevate as a collective. Pretty much the topic that we've been talking about today. I just feel like that's a huge part of who I came here to be. And I feel very aligned with, actually through COVID, because the second piece of, what I didn't really mention, but really what led me to rebranding or really this whole body of work of Soul Success Unleashed that I'm teaching now, which is multifaceted, deep inner ancestral line healing and clearing of our patterns, because that's always a part of it. And then aligning and activating our spiritual gifts and cultivating our psychic and spiritual channeling abilities for healing. And then to really align and have the confidence and courage to co-create what you came to do. Like, that's really the crux of what we do in the types of programs that I offer. And of course, I have certifications and other things, but at the undercore, it's really about internal healing, elevating, and letting people go out and do their own unique gifts to the world to continue the same process over again in their own way, right? But one thing that was kind of a practice that I think that has helped me through is really focusing on, tuning into how can I best be of service today? And that's really what led me to the programs and the workshops that I am leading now, and that feel very aligned, is tuning in, how can I best be of service to my soul clients today? How can I, and just allowing that to move through the work that I do share, because I do, as you mentioned, free and then workshops and then deeper level programs. But, I want to be able to serve people on different levels that feels empowering to them being that conscious creator in their life. Right.
I love that. And, one of the fun things about I think we do very similar stuff with different wording around it. And it's always enlightening to me to hear you talk about your work, because it uses different language that I just, I've never, when people say, what's theta healing? I'm like, I just pray to creator. I'm like, what do they need to hear? Because like, I have over 200 different days worth of answers I could give you, and 2 decades worth of experience. So like, I just say, what do they need to hear? Okay, so but you have all the words, and you have, and don't you see, don't you think that the past, like just right before COVID, like the fall before COVID, I just noticed that there was this very big awakening of people just being really curious and getting into exploring their energetic gifts. And I think that, we both talked about that. We were talking at that time, and it was before COVID, and we were both in different places in our business. And it's so funny how both of our businesses really took off during COVID, which is hilarious, right? You wouldn't think that. But at the same time, like, people have just had to go in and tune in. And actually, I think COVID helped people really look at what they've created in their lives. Oh, I created 6 kids. Now they're home. I have to homeschool them all.
Right. They can look at what works for them and what doesn't. I think, in our line too, we work a lot with the highly sensitives and empaths. And I think what's been coming up in my circle a lot is just recognizing, does this still work for me? I'm actually not willing to give up my energy in the way that I was, so the job loss is actually a blessing as long as we don't go into fear about it. I've seen lots of people have abrupt endings, but to me, it's really all about bringing in that deeper alignment and that awareness to, what, I was kind of selling my soul over here. Here's an opportunity now through this situation or this ending, which is often how I feel like the dark nights of the souls kind of come in at the bang, right? Lights it up. But it's an opportunity often to look at, what was I doing that I was actually compromising myself on that is no longer working, and what's the opportunity of the answer towards my prayer that's over here, right? And so I feel like there's that transition piece, and a lot of them for me are the energetically overwhelmed sensitives that drove them to their awakening, which was my own personal story as well, not realizing that we're sponging up the collective. And so I think it did pop a lot of sensitives open, because the heightened level of fear and judgment and chaos and all the things basically was so high that you couldn't really numb or ignore it anymore. You could numb, but you couldn't totally ignore it. You know what I mean? And so to me, that's a lot of the work is that we're doing is, teaching empaths and sensitives to not have to be the sponge, but instead be able to elevate their energy and hold that higher frequency. And I think
without taking on all that stuff.
Yeah, because that's really what drove, I think, a lot of sensitives to wake up this last year.
I think that when I start teaching my students, one of the biggest things that we do is help them start sorting out all the information that is coming at them nonstop, 24 hours a day. There's so much, there's so much, and it takes some time to break it down and to get really clear what's yours and what's somebody else's. That can take years of training to understand, was it your thought or someone else's thought that you're feeling? Is it your feeling or someone else's feeling that you're feeling? Is it group conscious feeling that you're feeling, or is it yours? And if it is yours and group conscious is feeling it too, then you probably got it going on really big. And is it astrological?
It's all of it, right? And so
I mean, it's everything.
What is this lighting up within me? And as soon as we do that, we don't have to run that. And I think that's such a liberating thing to learn, right? What you're teaching myself too, is to not have to run and manage the energy of everybody's around. We can still be aware, empaths, you're going to be aware, but we don't have to run it through our body and actually process it for the collective in that way, or for our family, or for our coworkers. And many of us don't realize that's actually, what's happening when we're unconscious to that. And so that right there is, as soon as you clear that out, that the beauty is you're already tapped into your intuition. You're so tapped into your spirit self that when you can actually clear the filter between you, your body, and your spirit via all the static of the collective, all the static of everybody else's emotions and energy, when you clear that out, you're already so tapped into your spiritual gifts. Like your psychic abilities just start to come in so much more clear and accurate because you have that clear channel, right?
Yeah. And you said a couple of things there. One of the things of being I notice a lot with healers, if they've been healers in other lifetimes, sometimes they'll take it in the chin for really a long time until they really discover those belief systems that encourage them or devote themselves to taking that energy on for the collective in order to be a successful healer. Because in different times and spaces, we've had different ideas about what it is to be a healer.
Yeah.
And so I think, sorting that kind of stuff out as well can help us not have to take it on for everybody else, not have to give all our healing and our love away, but being able to hone that, receive that love for ourselves, that healing for ourselves, and understand other people's free choice and their own divine path, so that we don't have to do it all for them and be the sacrificial lamb and get, persecuted or like hung or like, tortured.
But the survival energy and trauma imprints real. I mean, you feels that way, which is, and if funny when you're talking, even though it was stemming from past life agreements and programming and all of those experiences, my hair business was ultimately that way. I had no idea that for a long time, until I started waking up 10 years or 11 years in, I had all these unconscious agreements with my hair clients that, oh, guess what? You're coming to get a haircut, but you're plugging right in and you're getting a healing too. And I had no idea. I'd leave there drained and exhausted, until I started having my wake up call. And I realized that they were getting an energetic dumping exchange with me as well. And I didn't know that I on some level felt that I had to do that, again, a lot of times. But as soon as I started learning tools to not take in their energy cords and to say, oh yeah, no, we're not doing that, just talking about hair here, I had a big drop in clients initially, which was okay because I upgraded ones that could, but it was nothing about the haircut. It was absolutely that I cut off the energy supply.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. And when you learn how to tap into that highest vibration of all that is, that infinite energy of creation up in that sparkly white energy, you can always send everyone unconditional love, but you don't have to carry them subconsciously anymore. You can just honor that they have that opportunity to be hooked up to that energy, and they get to co-create with that energy. And if they do, it's cool. And if they don't, it's cool. It's just their journey, and their journey is not the same as yours, man. Can we say that together? It's not the same.
Yeah, it's just that unconsciousness though, when we're not aware of it. And so this is where having the awareness and the sifting process, like you're talking about, really taking those practices and tuning into, well, how does this actually feel? Is it mine? Is this working? Am I compromising myself out of, the fear that I won't be loved, or that the money, I need the money, so I don't want to push their energy, not take on their energy, all these different things that drive our self-sabotage, really, or giving up of ourself in some way. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, you get to put yourself in that driver's seat without having to take it on as much. Yeah, these tools are like survival skills. They're essential. And I think when we can teach people how to do this, we can empower them. I mean, it's very unfortunate that we don't get to teach this in our schools. And it's one of the reasons why I had my wake up call, because I felt like there's so much magic that I'm ignoring when this child walks into my room. I really want to empower them, but I didn't know what it was, that I wanted to give them until, I had to get conked on the head by a horse and sent to Vienna and Guy and started learning how to do this work I would have never willingly gone to do, because I would have had to be in the school teaching. But then we worked together and we started writing all these classes and books. And one of the classes that we did write was the Rainbow Children's class, which does teach little kids how to start tuning into their energy, what's theirs and what's other people's, and not taking it so, personally, although that's a developmental thing, but also how to like tap into their energy as a healer and that healing energy vibe that they are, those little magical beings getting to keep their energy of creativity, keep their energy of imagination, and keep their magic versus having to get it trained out of them and recover it as an adult, and I love that my little dark night of the soul, my little wake up call was completely like so inspired that we were able to teach that. Now we can teach that all over the world and is being taught in all over the world, which can you imagine those little kids growing up all lit up with this information? Like we're lighting up the adults, helping them sort out their gifts right now and sort out the energy. But can you imagine having a child being able to do that from the beginning?
I know, absolutely. And it's not going to be too long because we're getting more and more and more conscious parenting, which is really exciting. I think the more that we're helping wake up parents who are now raising little ones, whereas my wake up call didn't happen until my daughter was a teenager, right? So now we're kind of working with a lot of times the adults and they're just now having children or they have young ones and now they get to teach them about, I have students in my class who say, oh my gosh, I get to teach my little grandson and my children, how to work with the angels and how to connect with their energy and how to recognize that part of themselves. And, I think that is just the biggest gift. And I do think it's going to be quite amazing to see how the world will change in just a couple of generations of that,
Mm-hmm. Probably even less, don't you think?
Yes, but just imagine though, right?
I know. Oh my gosh. So exciting. Bunch of little rainbow children running around, rocking the world. So I want to just really quick, this is a good time to mention that you have been so generous as to offer us a free gift for our Leading with Light Cosmic Treasure Chest. Thank you so much. If you're interested in getting this gift, I'm going to put the link in the show notes so you can get it because it's a really long one. But this is a free masterclass for, it's an energetic mastery class for the highly sensitive person, intuitive or empath, that will help you succeed in your life and your business. And Jen is so grateful. She is so awesome. She's grateful. She's awesome. And she is generous. That is the word. Jen has been so generous as to gift this to us. So check out the show link and get that. It's going to help you a lot. I can't wait to check it out. So let me ask you this one question. Thank you, Jen, for that. Mm-hmm. If you could give the listeners of Leading with Light a download, if you could give the world a download, people that are listening on this call, what would it be? Just one download that you can give the whole world right now.
To just remember and embody really how powerful you truly are as a spiritual being and conscious creator. Just to really be able to own that.
So if you would like that download, you just say heaven yes. Say it out loud because it's fun. Heaven yes.
Heaven yes.
You go up and ask Creator to teach you in every cell of your body in the highest and best way. Love, joy, ease, and grace. Gratitude, appreciation, and understanding. Oh. Wow, yeah, that feels so good. I live this. Now, you and I, we could talk forever and a day. And I think this is a good place for us to take a break just because there's a lot we just need to think about just from what we said. So today we're going to end, but would you come back to the show sometime?
I'd love to come back and play with you for sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you join me here today on Leading with Light. I love what you're up to in the world, and I know how much this planet needs people just like you, Jen. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Leading with Light. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every Tuesday for more exciting ways to help you pop into true divine connection and clarity, live in the energy of limitless possibilities, and delight in the love playground. Get your magic on and make this world a happier place. Yo.